Oh, what a week it's been. A 15-10 loss against the Steelers. Some analysis from Odell Beckham Sr. And now we don't know if Odell Beckham Jr. is ever going to play for the Browns again. Drew, I know we like to talk positive, but sometimes we've got to just look at the situation and give our analysis. Who deserves blame here? There's, Stefanski, there's Baker. Who are you blaming for this situation where Odell seemingly looks like he's not going to be a part of the Browns anymore?
Yeah, I mean, hat tip to you pulling your best Eric there, pulling out most of the potential people for blame, right? So there is plenty to go around here. I think primarily the blame has to fall on all three of them, really. Like I think there's so much of it to go around, right? You have an offense that, for whatever reason, the first read of the offense seems to almost never be Odell Beckham Jr., right? Like it always seems to be the first read is to the other side of the field, and Baker is excellent when that first read is open, and Odell is usually open. And for whatever reason, he's just not seeing him. He has a hard time getting back over to him. I can't explain it. I wish I had an answer for that, but I think that was a big part of it. And then, certainly some of that's on Baker as well. If that first read is covered, you have to get back to your best player. And he has really struggled to do that in this offense for whatever reason. I never thought that to be an issue with him in college, in his first year, even under Freddie Kitchens. He didn't have a lot of trust in the offensive line, but he never struggled to read the field and find the open person. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what's causing that. But I think that is the primary issue, is the combination of Stefanski and Baker Mayfield being unable to locate Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, say what you want about his dad, but Odell Beckham Jr. was getting open. Like there's no two ways about that. Regardless of like what, you don't have to go analyze the all 22 coaches film. There's plenty of content out there which shows Odell being open and just the Browns being unable to locate him and get him the ball. But I think some of this does fall on Odell as well, right? Like the play where the Steelers jumped off sides, Baker gets it to him, and he makes what is very obviously a business decision to not go up there and make the effort that he could make. He protects his body, looks over at the defender, and then tries to catch the ball one-handed and is unable to do so. So, if he brings that down, the Browns potentially win that game. And who knows? Maybe we don't see any of this stuff. Maybe Odell Beckham Sr. saves his coaching tape for another week. But I think this is a big loss. I think this is really going to set the Browns back this season. But I'm hopeful that they're able to sort of turn the page and find somebody who can replace him, because this is very much a championship caliber roster if they can get a lot of production from that wide receiver room and the quarterback room. If they can somehow get this right, that's the only weakness for this team right now, but it is a glaring one.
I know I know Odell is frustrated, and I know it's difficult, but I think this just comes down to patience. And he wants the ball. He wants to win now, but he has to just remain patient in this situation. I don't think you can put the situation back in the bottle, though. And I don't know what happens, to this offense. Is this going to cause a fracture with this offense, with the fan base, or will they really look at winning with this next game? Eric, I don't know. How do you feel about this impact to the team? Do you think this rocks the team, or do you think they're a pretty solid unit to get through this?
Well, first of all, I was just telling Drew, we got two good options we could draft in the first round. I know you don't want those
oh, no.
2 picks to take a receiver early, but we'll talk about that in the spring. Yeah, I mean, personally, let me just get this out as I'm very disappointed. I mean, this is one of the seemingly one of the worst free agent acquisitions by the Browns have had in quite some time.
Trade.
It ravels there up there with Andre Rison.
Trade.
It just didn't. Okay, it was trade. Sorry, you're right. This acquisition. How about that? This acquisition
Perfect.
of a veteran player not drafted. Was disappointing. He's supposed to be a field stretcher, a number one option, a top 5 receiver in the league, and he hasn't lived up to it. He's had 114 catches, just over 1,500 yards, and 7 touchdowns, receiving, 1 rushing in 2.5 years. I know he was hurt for part of majority of last season. You had the watches incident, you had the visor incident, you had the come get me allegedly. And he had one good game against the Cowboys. There's a lot of flash, obviously, not a lot of substance. So it's really going to come down to Baker whether this rocks the locker room. I understand he's having an up and down year. I think that goes without saying. But you look at the stats for OBJ, and he has not gone over 6 touchdowns in a year since his 3rd season. He's had 14, 15, and 16, whereas 3 great years, and he's declined ever since. Back to the Browns. I think Baker's, a tremendous leader. He's still playing hurt. I would hope that he could get the guys together, and I hope that Jarvis Landry can look aside from his best friend and kind of see what the team needs and what he means to the team and what he means to this locker room. So I would hope that they can come together, because it's a very ugly incident, and it's OBJ and OBS that were acting very childish and petty. And if really OBJ was having his issues, he really could have come to Stefanski or Andrew Berry and said, "I want traded right now. I'm not being used properly." They didn't have to do this. That being said, I really think it's going to, it could go one of 2 ways. I don't have a lot of confidence, but that's because I'm a Browns fan. And we shouldn't have a lot of confidence historically in the last couple of years. Maybe it's a galvanizing thing, the way that obviously it's apples and oranges with the Gruden thing, how I guess the Raiders have kind of galvanized after the fact. But, it's going to take a lot, but I don't feel great.
A disappointing result for sure. I don't know if Odell is going to suit up for the Browns once again, but the week continues. This is not a bye week that we have going on here. The Browns are facing the Bengals this weekend, a Bengals team who has been playing well above expectations. Joe Burrow having a great season, Jamar Chase having a great season. Eric, let's go back to you here. Man, it's going to be challenging. Baker said it himself. You can't just focus on winning. We also have to focus on this huge disruption. What are you worried about with the Bengals and just the matchup this weekend?
Well, looking at what the Jets did, and it's hard to say, but what the Jets did right is they spread the ball around and they threw the ball very well. They were able to get over 400 yards passing. Three different receivers had a touchdown, and 4 receivers had 5+ catches. I haven't gone through every single game, but I don't think that was a common occurrence for the Browns offense. Obviously, there are many ways that the Browns offense can be effective, most notably running the football. They sort of abandoned it last week. Obviously, the Steelers have a very good run defense, so I think I would like to see a good mix of that, but if they can get one of those very, very, very effective, that would be tremendous, because we saw neither of those last week. The other thing is Burrow does throw interceptions. They might not come in bunches, but you should be able to get at least one, hopefully multiple ones. And Denzel Ward practiced today, so he should hopefully be back. Hopefully that secondary is getting a little healthier. They can take away a pass or two. And, the thing that Stefanski kind of preached in preseason is the 4-point play, touchdown versus field goals down in the red zone. And the team has been pretty dreadful in that area on both sides of the ball. That 4th down last week that was juggled and caught barely in the end zone by the Steelers. And then meanwhile, it seems like every 3rd or 4th and short that the Browns have, Baker's getting sacked or they're getting stuffed. So they gotta make some headway on that. I don't care how they distribute the ball, just move the sticks or get in the end zone. So they have a lot of things they can clean up, but they gotta have to play a clean game, not turn the ball over. That was kind of a fluke turnover last week, but it was still a turnover. I think they can get it done, but like I said, they got to be clicking at least one of the two phases on the offense, and they weren't either last week.
This has to be the low point of the season, right, Drew? It
so.
has to get better this weekend, right?
I don't know how it gets worse than losing at home to the last place Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a Pittsburgh Steelers team that is going absolutely nowhere. This Pittsburgh Steelers team has an offense that is dreadful. They are going to maybe get to 500 so they can keep their fun little streak intact, but they are a below average team, and to lose to them at home was I think the low point sort of the year. So let's sort of turn the page. Let's look at the next team. This team is not dreadful. The Cincinnati Bengals are not a terrible team. This is surprisingly a very good team. I mean, last week notwithstanding, they can still pull an old Bungles like the Browns can pull an old same old Browns every now and again, right? Like that's part of the deal with them. But with this team, you actually have some things that you have to worry about on defense, right? You have a very good wide receiver core. You have a good running back. You have a pretty good quarterback who's at least able to move a little bit and can throw the ball down the field still, unlike what you saw last week. So the defense has a much more difficult challenge ahead of them. I think for them, they need to find a way to get on the same page in the back end of the secondary to not allow Jamar Chase or a T. Higgins to just be wide open down the field, right? So as long as they can prevent those just miscues, those just botched assignments, I think the defense is going to be good because I think the defense is good. On the offensive side of the ball, yeah, I think Eric alluded to a lot of it there. The Bengals don't have the same sort of playmakers on defense that the Steelers have, but the offense has to figure something out. They have to figure out a way to get in rhythm. They have to figure out a way to design some plays where if the first read is covered, that there is a very obvious choice where to go with the ball. It just seems like they are really struggling with that. So I'm hoping to see some screen passes. I'm hoping to see some sort of trickeration, something where the defense doesn't know what's coming. I'm hoping to get back to the old sort of Kevin Stefanski, maybe some bootlegs, figure out a way to get Baker Mayfield back to what he's comfortable doing on a defense that you can exploit, a defense that is not exactly full of world beaters.
I've said it about 10 times so far this year. It's going to depend on Baker. Baker has got to show up. He's got to fix this. Winning fixes a lot of these problems, and this team is teetering right now. Odell gone. Baker needs to turn this locker room around, turn the season around, and set sights back upon the playoffs and a deep playoff run. And that starts this weekend. Baker needs to be the leader, not just giving no answers in his interviews with the Cleveland media, but actually showing up on the field. That's going to fix a lot of things in that locker room. Baker's got to start this Sunday.